Hi, my name is Jess, and I am almost 9 years sober. And my sobriety date is June 4th, 2017. And it's May 28th right now, 2026. So I'm a couple of days away from my ninth birthday. And I wanted to share a lot of this stuff that I've discovered in sobriety because I think it's super helpful. And I took a very non-traditional path. And I think it's really important to hear what else is out there so you can go ahead and develop the way that you want to develop or you feel compelled to. And always there's adventure and shifts that are going to happen unexpectedly because the universe is freaking amazing. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what I've done so that you can take whatever it is and apply it and see if it works for you. Okay. So early on in sobriety, I walked into the rooms June 4th, 2017, after getting drunk at a wedding where I said I'd drink 2 glasses of champagne and I ended up drinking 7 glasses of champagne. And I said, I'm done. It wasn't even a very big or extraordinary thing. I was just done. And I walked into an AA meeting, and I know you're not supposed to come on media, but I do think that it's important to talk about these things, and we don't function like we did in the 1930s, so why? And when I got into the recovery rooms, I identified as an alcoholic for the first 2 weeks. And I think one of the most important changes that I made very early on was I decided that I did not like the definition of an alcoholic. And not that I wasn't one. I had all of the symptoms of one. It was that I didn't want to define myself and bring that in as a new identity and build myself off the identity of being an alcoholic. I think that that's a super dangerous thing to do. So within the first 2 weeks, mind you, I was 27 years old. I'm 36. A lot of people think I'm in my mid-20s, which is a blessing and a curse. But when I got in there, after a couple of weeks, I said, hi, my name is Jess, and I'm sober today. And that's how I identified myself, because I decided that I wanted to create my own definition of sobriety. So one night, I wrote it out and I said, sobriety to me is fun, it's adventurous, it's daring, it's challenging, it's creative, joyful, lots of deep belly laughter. And that definition has also evolved over time to whatever I want it to be, because that's what sobriety is. It's a life that you get to define. And I thought that wrapping myself or bringing myself back to an old phase, an old identity of mine was not very fruitful. It wasn't beneficial to me in any way to just keep identifying as somebody I was in the past. Why would I do that to myself? I'm not that person anymore. And so from early on, 27 years old, and usually I would be, this is before everything got online because of the pandemic. So you had to show up in rooms, and there were a couple of online intherooms.com was really helpful for me because I was traveling. And, it was just one of those things where fairly early on, I just started questioning everything about recovery. I do tend to do that. I've been in the media, advertising, creative advertising, marketing, and UX, UI design, graphic design, brand strategy. And so it's in my professional wheelhouse to question about systems and processes and try to redesign easier, simpler processes, right? So I'm sitting there looking at the 12 steps being like, I can barely read this. I have no freaking clue what it's trying to say. And then I went into refuge recovery, and I still was like, this is really hard. I need my recovery in meme format. I need it to be very simple and actionable, right? I need action items to do, because at the end of the day, recovery is literally taking naps and changing your behavior to become a better person. That's it. That's all that this is. And it's like, how do you have fun now? How is your relationship to yourself now? How is your relationship to your other relationships? How is your relationship to your job? How is your relationship to your hobby? How is your relationship to the things that you own? To your finances, to your name whatever it is you have in your life, to your pets, to your parents, to your, what does that relationship look like? And are you at peace with it, right? That ends up being what sobriety is, and you get to level up in the way that's like, not only do I have peace on these things, I have joy and I have fun and I have creativity, right? The thing that I found that was lacking in both 12-step and refuge recovery, and even smart recovery, was the idea that it was the end after 12 steps. It was the end after 8 steps. It was the end after DBT, whatever. And I don't agree with that. I think that the reason why you reach peace, inner peace, is so you can go be joyful and go be fun and go have creative moments and reach your potential energy. And nobody talks about that in any recovery room. It's always the war stories. It's always going back to the past and just repeating and repeating and repeating. Why would I put myself in a room like that where it's just fear, talking about fear and sadness all of the time? And there's a time and place for that, absolutely. But you have to balance it out with creativity and fun. Like what good is talking about fears if you're not going to overcome them and then grow as a person? Okay. So really start questioning. I want you to start questioning, what is recovery to you? What is sobriety to you? I want you to define what an alcoholic is or an addict. And I want you to define what sobriety is. And then I want you to define what fun, creative sobriety for you is. Okay. That's so important to this process. Please do it, because you will get so much more out of sobriety than you ever imagine. Not even the people that I know that have 30 years has as much fun as I do at 9 years, okay? So remember, this is my whole ethos, is sobriety should be more fun than drugs. And if you are very good at this, make it a game and figure out how to make sobriety more fun than drugs. All right, I'll see you next time.